Hello everyone! Yesterday was a special day for me as I played some of the best Trackmania I've ever played in my life, and I finally completed Deep Slip, Trackmania's hardest ice tower map. After 12 days of grinding consecutively and 90 hours of playing the map, all my effort finally paid off when I reached the summit and got to feel the incredible relief that is to be done with this challenge. And not only that, to be the first player in the world to do so. In this video, I wanted to recap my final run as well as give you some thoughts on the map itself, things that were going through my head, things I could have done better. Yeah, just maybe some afterthoughts, sort of like a post-mortem of the event. But if you haven't seen much of this at all, let me just give you a quick rundown to begin with. The Deep Slip Tower has 18 floors. All the floors are made primarily of ice and have different obstacles and tricks that you have to do to clear them. The floors also have no checkpoints whatsoever, meaning that a mistake could potentially send you all the way back down to the start. It's a very punishing map to learn, but also really satisfying when you know the stakes are high on each jump and you still manage to clear them. Over the last couple of days, we were making steady progress, beating about one floor a day, and going into the last day, me and Elconn were just about tied at the very ending of floor 17. Now, floor 18 was rumored to be the hardest floor on the track. After all, you want a grand finale, and so Burlypog, the main mapper, had saved some diabolical looking tricks for the last floor, like ice 360s, you were driving on some bobsleigh wall kind of thing, and it just looked really tough. So the expectation was that going into the last day, we still had a couple of days of driving to do. But then, when Elconn got to the last floor for the first time, he discovered a massive shortcut.
Fuck, man. Oh, that is so annoying, bro. Bro, that's crazy, bro. What? I played this I tried this for like... Okay, I tried this for like maybe a couple minutes, but I was convinced it's not possible.
That silly, simple-looking jump skipped 80% of floor 18 and basically put Elconn 5 or so jumps away from being the Deep Slip winner. And suddenly, things got very stressful. I thought we had many days to figure that floor out, but now it was essentially a race of getting up to floor 18 to try to snipe away the win from either of us. Elconn would, unfortunately for him, fail in one of the last jumps, but it did open up an opportunity for me. Ending his stream on the last day, he said,
"Yeah, we just have to hope Wirtual doesn't finish it tonight. I'm straight up gonna go like straight to bed, then I wake up in like 8 hours. 6 AM, stream is starting. If Wirtual finishes, sure, take the first. I don't even mind. Let him have it."
And I was prepared to put in a long grind. But would it be enough? That is essentially what was going through my mind. Would it be enough? I knew Elconn, as one of the world's best ice players, had it within himself to beat it first thing the next morning. But while he was on, I could hardly drive a run. I kept looking at the leaderboard and just thinking, man, when is Elconn gonna win the map? If you look at my height progression here on the Deep Slip Stats website, you can really see the despair. Here, this is like 5 hours of gameplay where I'm just constantly failing at what I now consider easy floors. I could hardly drive the map up to the higher floors to even have a chance. But then when I noticed that Elconn was finally off for the day, I was able to relax more, and soon after I started driving the eventual winning run. And that is what I now want to show you guys. With all that backstory, let's jump into the final completion. Alright guys, so here we are. After 87 hours, 59 minutes and 50 seconds, I start my final run of floor 0. And I want to warn you guys, this run is 4 hours long, so we're not going to watch the entire thing. We're going to skip over sometimes when I fall. I think the map driven really well. You can maybe do it in under an hour, but we'll see how long this video ends up being. So there's quite a lot I want to talk about. I want to talk about a little bit of my thought process and how I played the map, how I approached it. For example, one thing that I realized I could do very early on was use early floors to practice later floors. So turns like this one, I realized were quite reminiscent of later jumps, because on ice there's not that many different types of jumps and tricks you can have. Like the surface kind of limits you. On Deep Dip 2, you could have anything almost, but here, a lot of things look the same. So that jump and this bowl we're about to go into, I studied a lot. I drove laps in this first bowl one day for 30 minutes just to get an understanding of how the car climbs on walls.
Maybe us too soon, who knows? Oh my god. Did Wirtual just drive off? Huh? I just came up here, he came back and just fell down. Huh?
There's a lot of things I now know about ice that I maybe knew a little bit, but didn't quite conceptualize before Deep Slip. So there's like RPM matters a lot, the gears matter a lot. And the gears matter not just for are you sliding out or not, it matters for how much speed the car has. So like for these climbs, gear 3 keeps more than gear 2, but gear 2 can also make it. Yeah, I'll go through all that when we see it, but I studied this a lot, and so I took a very analytical approach. I watched my own clips a lot, studied inputs, and yeah, it made me very consistent. But I really was not playing that well this day. I did not have high expectations. I thought kind of Elconn has already sealed the deal. I mean, if you look at the top left, you'll see the PB and the world record marker at the time I started this. Elconn basically just a couple of jumps away from the roof and then the finish. But it worked out. Here you can see some ice sliding, by the way. Just gonna explain this quickly. The best way to control the car on ice is to put it sideways, counter steer, and then you have two options. If you add brake after counter steering, the turn sharpens, and if you release, the turn widens. So brake and release are your two steering buttons, but you first have to put the car sideways. It sounds easy in principle, but it's kind of completely opposite to normal racing. So here, steer to the right, you counter steer, and now a couple of brake taps to steer more, and then release to get out of the turn. This floor kind of teaches you the basics of that, but on higher floors, there's even more details to consider. And here we have the first like tricky detail, I think, for a lot of people, which is getting across the snow. What you need here is an ice slide across the snow, but not only that, there's an interaction where ice sliding across snow requires the skid marks of the car to overlap. So if you see these thin dark lines, maybe Buckley can highlight them, when they overlap, the car gains even more speed. That's just a perfect sliding angle, essentially. And that comes up on floor 10 again. So there's, yeah, some stuff that I look back at and see similarities from already on floor 1. But yeah, the thing I noticed with this map compared to Deep Dip 2 is that driving the early floors was not as despair as on Deep Dip 2. On Deep Dip 2, you would drive to, say, floor 11, make the mistake of not making the jump there, and then you would fall all the way down to 0, and then you do it again. And then you'd have to drive like 30 minutes just for one jump. But it's quite rare you lose everything on this map. There are so many water pools that you can land in. Water always makes the car land back on its tires. There's also a lot of blocks that have mixed water into them, which means the car can never dead turtle on those. And there's just in general a lot of recovery routes. So if I were to fail one of these jumps, it's very likely I would land somewhere where it would be possible for me to get back to like the floor below or something. So not only does the track have really cool, difficult jumps to do, but it has really good recoveries. Like the main difficulty of the map is not that it is so punishing for making a mistake, but just that the jumps are harder than usual. Yeah, there are definitely some jumps on this map that I would say are harder to execute than on Deep Dip, but the recoveries are better. So yeah, it's an interesting balance. I liked and enjoyed this format a lot more, I think. And perhaps I'm biased as the guy who was sort of leading the way, pioneering a lot of floors, and eventually winning. But hey, I'm just saying, I think I'm not the only person. I think viewers also found this more enjoyable. So let me know in the comments which sort of approach to tower maps you like the most. I think the other one definitely tests the perseverance of players even more, because it's more brain rot. Like, I'm already fried after 12 days of this, and Bren, to finish Deep Dip in the same format, played for 36 days, I think it was. So, you know, it's different leagues, really. But yeah. Already here, things are getting a bit more difficult. You have some precise jumps, like this one has tended to cause a lot of mistakes. And here, again, I'm going for safety. I'm trying to get back up, because I'm not gonna have to drive these floors a lot, so going for pace is not so necessary. And there's a couple of places where the car can shift gear mid ice slide, and then it's just not worth it to attempt it. So I go wide there, I just drive a straight line, there's another jump where you can do the same thing and sort of be safe. And right now, pace is going stellar. I mean, here in 6 minutes is fine pace, no problems whatsoever. I think I'm currently trying to sing Careless Whisper to my audience. I actually think I am in this run, and I said, man, I hope this is not the final run, but I think it is. We can have a listen in. Again. The way I climb with you. Yeah, that is the run. Unfortunately, we cannot play it because it would be, I think, copyright claimed. It's too close to the original. But yeah, we were on a pretty low sanity level here. Again, thought we were losing the event. But hey, that's part of the climb as well. Is how well you deal with the stress, right? I would probably play the audio for you guys all the time, but I think it's gonna be a little dank to hear my voice twice. Maybe we can interject some clips here and there, wherever it's fitting. But yeah, make it across. You can go direct here if you land good. I land way too far, so I'm gonna do a loop back for sure. Looking for 150 speed there for that jump. That's another thing, like, I know basically the speed check for almost every single jump where speed is the factor. But one thing I've learned now, which I didn't previously know, is that on ice, for speed checks in particular, it matters a lot more which gear you're in than how fast you are before the ice slide. Like, every ice slide you set up is gonna slow you down quite a lot as you set it up. And so it's really just about the gear you're in and the space you have to ice slide. If you can start an ice slide that lasts for 1.2 seconds, you're gonna be faster than an ice slide that lasts for 1 second. Even if you were faster going into the 1 second one. I hope that makes sense. Typically for lower gears though. For higher gears it's different, but most of this map is played in gear 2 and 3. And this spot here is the first one where you really learn about the way gears work. So if you look at my speed, typically the car shifts from second to third at 160 speed, but it's also dependent on RPM. And in ice slides, the car has higher RPM, higher rotations of the engine per minute, revolutions, when it has a shallow angle than when it has a quite backwards angle. The way you can think about this, I'm gonna draw here actually. The way you can think about this is that the car is currently moving in sort of this direction, right? And you wanna look at where the car is pointing. If the car is pointing like this, now this is a very shallow angle. If the car was pointing more than 90 degrees, something like this, now you have a very wide angle, now you have lower RPM. And doing an ice slide this way, you can avoid shifting gears. So your goal is to keep traveling the way the arrow is pointing, but have the car face more backwards. And this concept, as soon as I understood it, really revolutionized the map for me. So my goal here is to make the car face backwards quite early and keep adding brake taps to make it go backwards. So I keep adding brake taps, I make it go backwards, and although, look at this, right? I said 160, I'm at 166 here. But because it's facing backwards, it doesn't have the RPM that the game wants to shift me up. So it keeps me second gear. And you actually do the same thing on this next jump. Angling backwards compared to the direction of motion. If I try to straighten out here, I'll actually shift to third gear. I'm just explaining this concept now. I'm not going to pause for every time this happens, but I understood this on floor 4 already. We use it on floor 7. We use it on floor 8, I know. We use it even up on like floor 16, and oopsies. Yeah, my first fall of this run goes all the way down here. This was a very silly one. I was trying to do some speed strats. I was trying to flip the iPad and catch it back in my hand, but I get full grip here, and then I have icy wet tires, and I go way too fast. So we're gonna skip this and go right back to where I get here again. Alright, like nothing ever happened. 15 minutes in, we are back on the spins, and now you can see it properly. That's how I wanted to do it. That's also something that this map has a lot of, is spins. The map is built by Burlypog primarily, who is one of the best ice mappers in the game. Knows a lot about how to make the car do wicked things on ice, like spins and stuff. And so that's a theme we'll see on higher floors. Here again, you have this RPM stuff going on. You want to jump very inside, it looks weird. Why are you not using the space on the left? But it's because here, if you again put the car backwards now, you avoid the gear up on the jump. It's to my knowledge, the only way to do the jump without getting a slowdown. And it's strange, right? It's like, why would being in a higher gear slow you down? And the answer is most of that just happens at an awkward time. If you can change gear, driving in a straight line is good. If you change in an ice slide, it typically makes you immediately lose grip. I don't know if that happens in this run, but it's something you will probably have seen if you've watched some deep slip climbing over the last 2 weeks. But yeah, still in the trivial parts. This is really, anytime you start a run, you're expected to get past all this. And when Elconn was driving, I could hardly drive here. I was jumping off the map a couple of times, like I was just in despair. I just realized, guys, is Elconn on... I was too distracted. Is Elconn on last floor? Oh, he's on the last floor. Okay. Yeah. No, I couldn't drive. I was so distracted by that. Guys, I'm so distracted today. It's actually painful. My eyes are just wandering off of my own game. I should not care what anyone else is doing. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna keep driving. But now, finally, things were starting to work out. Oh, small mistake here. Clip the plastic, go back for speed. This time into the wall. And here you can see 240 speed in second gear. And the car just, it can't shift there. It doesn't let it. It's very funny how it works. So yeah, constantly on every jump here I'm thinking about if there's a risk of shifting gears and how to prevent it. And I'm also actively listening to the car. So I don't need to talk about all this stuff now, but let me know, guys, if you want to see an in-depth ice tutorial. Maybe you don't even play the game. Maybe you just find it fascinating to listen to. Because I have a lot of knowledge now that I feel like I sort of need to write down before I forget it. You know what I mean? Like, I've only played this map for the past 2 weeks. I've studied it as much as I can. And it's sort of like, I need to write these things down before they just disappear, right? Or put them into a video format. And it's gonna be a bit weird. Like, I think for most people, the difficulty with ice is not even the stuff I'm talking about. It's just left, start the ice slide at the right time, make the car go where you want it to, straighten out at the right time, like land here. Already that would be difficult, right? So for most players, it's just the basics of how to do an ice slide. Now, what I would be talking about would be a little bit more in-depth, but maybe that's fine. Also here, guys, really interesting. This was a big problem point. You learn on floor 5 that you can cross the booster this way, but it's going slow. And because I'm keeping the car sideways and it's gliding forwards, the wheels are not getting pushed by the booster, right? There's a booster like this on floor 12, where I got perpetually scammed. No! It kept pushing me. The one difference is that I had icy and wet tires. I didn't know it made a difference, but it actually does. You can see the tire state next to the gearbox bottom right. So right now I have icy tires 100%. People have often asked if icy and wet tires do anything different, like, is the surface more slippery now that I have wet tires as well? And the answer is no. For regular ice driving, it doesn't really matter. What it does let you do is ice slide on plastic. So if you have both of those, you can ice slide across plastic jumps. You can also ice slide across booster easier, I guess, but the one detail is in my opinion, I need to actually look into this to make sure I'm correct. It makes your landing sort of glue more to the surface. Like, the car has a little bit more weight to it with wet tires, is how I understand it. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, we get to the penguin, Noot Noot. It's sort of like a checkpoint. Chat here loves to spam Noot Noot. And we proceed up to the very end of floor 5. Should also at some point make a tier list. Floor 5 here was a big annoying point for a lot of players. I didn't feel like I struggled that much with it, but definitely annoying to do laps. If you fail this trick here, climbing this wall, then you'd have to do it again. Maybe here, guys, I can quickly talk about RPM on walls, since it's coming up. Let's just listen to what happened to my car here. Yeah, this was honestly quite controlled. Not so much chaos going on, that is worth pointing out, but you need to start with second gear, which I had. And when you're in first gear on one of these walls, you can no longer really gain height, but you can just sort of preserve the one you have if you have a little bit of speed. Gear 2 is the one you want to stay in for the most part. Now it also looks like I've stopped talking, so we can actually hear some car audio for once, maybe. I slide up. Now here, a very tricky jump for the first couple of days, jumping onto this piece and up. It's actually possible to stop on that block and jump directly to this platform, which is a detail that is important later. This is something that if I didn't know it, I might not have finished this run. Just crazy how that works out, but yeah. If I didn't know you could stop on that block and continue, I probably would have failed a recovery later on in the run. Floor 6. This floor, if you haven't seen it, absolute beauty, the way it's built, showcasing some of the coolest mechanics on ice. Starts out to the left here, you ice slide to the right, now you add some brake taps before the bumper, so the car goes backwards across the booster. After you're across, you can go full speed, 400 speed after the red booster, plastic wall hug, this turns you into a spin, you spin backwards across the boosters, then flick an ice slide into another plastic hit, get third gear so you can ice slide down, some brake taps to land backwards, plastic hit the back wall, jump up, here you're fourth gear, you want third gear, so I slow down, now I'm third gear, angle the car so I don't gear up again because of RPM, and jump and land in the water. And the wave stops you if you're middle of it. The water always flips you back. Now you have wet tires on plastic, so with this you can bug slide. So you bug slide, catch the booster, plastic wall hug. This does not spin you around, but gives you a sideways angle, so you can bug slide into a spin around, into an ice slide across all the boosters, and then you land back here. And now the last trick of the floor, which again took a while to figure out, but it is very satisfying to do. You build up speed. It actually doesn't matter too much, like I had a mistake here. But what matters is your entry into the bobsleigh wall. You again do a spin across the booster, ice slide out of it to get this booster, up the wall, down on the plastic, steer to the right so that you build up speed against the plastic. Now flick up left with dirt physics, and another flick up left into the water. Like, that entire sequence, I would say, is harder than some jumps on Deep Dip 2 that we really feared. But this floor also has incredibly good recovery routes. So if you fail them, it's not the end of the world. Now, bumper onto the boosters. And we've made it to floor 7. Floor 7 here also had some really valuable lessons. I don't know if it is that much of a memorable floor to me, other than one jump, which really taught me something important. But yeah, you start with some plastic, turn around here, and the reason you go back here is to get third gear when you start this ice slide over here. If you start this in second gear with 140, it's really potential for slide out. So you wait till you have third, and now you can commit. And you might ask yourself, okay, how did that gear up? Well, shallow angle, like my nose is pointing this way, the car is moving this way, less than 90 degrees. Car is gonna gear up. geared up, and now I sharpen the turn. Like, this is the second level of ice gameplay. If you're able to conceptualize these things. That's when ice becomes really fun. Here there's another trick, which is used a little bit throughout the map, and that is Gorilla Grip. Crazy name. So on the edge of this jump here, I tap, you can't see my inputs, but you see the wheels. I tap to the right before leaving the platform. Anytime you start an ice slide, there's a slowdown. But if you eat the slowdown at the very edge of a jump, you will land with a bunch of speed. Like, I tap steering, and now I land with a bunch more speed on this landing. That's a mechanic. And then I get up, but I fall down, and I have to do this recovery like 4 or 5 times. And now we're up here. And then this next jump is so important. Because, like, I've done this jump maybe 100 times by now, you know? I fail it in this first attempt. But this jump is very similar to a jump that shows up on floor 18. And so later on, I was able to compare the two and sort of find out what I most wanted to do for the floor 18 one. But I slide here, sharp angle, and I make it up to the pool. And the entire point of all of this was to drop down to the start of the floor again with enough speed to now take this ramp. And then from here, I slide, sharpen it, land backwards, you bump, and jump into the water. And now here, over the wall, have to do a big climb. And this jump also taught me a lot, because here, you have this quarter pipe that you can see behind the green timer. And you might think you would get a lot more speed if you drive up that, get some speed, and I slide to the left. That's where the path goes. But here I have gear 2. And as long as you have gear 2, you're good to go. But now, look, 160 speed, right? Here, if the car is not backwards angle, you're gonna gear up. But as long as you're backwards angle, like you can see it most on the ramp. If you compare this line to my car, we're backwards angled, we're not gonna gear up. And that's why you can make it. And it feels so good to just know those things. It really does. Ice slides, to me, have felt sort of random in the past. I mean, if you go even more back, I just disliked ice entirely. I thought it was unplayable. In 2021, I learned it for like the first time and kind of got interested in a little bit of ice sliding. Then, you know, in 2022, 2023, it was more bobsleigh stuff. 2024, I took ice even more seriously. I played an ice tournament with my Norwegian teammates in France, Kevin and Andy, and we actually ended up winning this big ice tournament together. And that helped me understand some more, but I feel like ice and normal maps and ice and trial maps, it's different. But they're still, you know, just understanding upon understanding. You build it brick by brick. Here's another thing that is sort of an ice mechanic to learn, is that when you ice slide in 3rd gear and 2nd gear, you can do what I call a hook, which is you start the ice slide, and then here you add a big brake tap, and the car will snap one way and then sort of slowly come back the other way. So here it's going to snap, and now it's going to slowly start coming back the other way. This is really the best way to do ice slides at lower gears. And it takes a while to get the feeling for it, but there's one hook, and here's another one. Gorilla grip on the drop down, and then the hook. And here, another important detail. Entering this wall backwards gives you a lot of speed. This is a detail I learned from Mika. I saw Mika drive this, and I was like, wait, he enters the wall backwards? Is he going to be in time for the climb? Yes, it works out. Look, there's things I've figured out myself, there's things I've seen from others. Many strats found by other players as well. But what happened is that, like, by day 3 or day 4, I was the first player to clear floor 8 here, this floor. And then after that, I was kind of on my own with strategies. Some things were found retroactively. But here, 4th gear, speed slide on the ice, jump across, land all the way on the other side, tough speed check that many got stuck on for a couple of days. And then this jump is almost harder, because here you have a 4th gear speed slide, Fourth gear means you want a shallow angle ice slide, no longer a 90-degree or more one. And when you go up, it's important that the car is 90 degrees with the wall. So the highest jump you can get is if the car is perfectly lined up with this. If it's a little bit wrong, it's not going to build speed all the way as you go up. So that is the main detail here. And I figured that out very early. And it's the same for any gear, by the way. So this was important later too. But yeah, able to land that with ease. Same thing here, you want to be perfectly sideways as you go up for the most speed. And we make it to the top of floor 8, not quite floor 9 yet. And now we're gonna do the Mikmo strat. This was intended to be a sequence of direct jumps with a spin and everything. But Mikmos, player who's not finished yet, but currently working on it, like floor 15 PB, found out you can just stop, and you don't even have to ice slide here, it's press forward. You just press forward, jump through the box, and make it up to the pool of floor 9. Really cool floor incoming, by the way. Hoagie48 in chat asks, I wonder how it feels to press the reset button for the last time. Feels good, I can tell you, Hoagie. If you're watching, feels amazing. Alright, let's do this. So, on floor 9 I had a mistake, but we're now on lap 2 of it. I go pretty high up, so I get into the middle of the loop here. I ice slide early, try to hit the back against the plastic, so that it pushes me into this loop feature. Here I have third gear, so nothing to worry about. I start the ice slide early again. Release on the booster, so I have some time to aim. And then build up speed, gorilla grip. I get a bit lucky as the edge pushes me to a straight direction. And I can do another spin here. Usually you're supposed to land and then do the spin yourself, but it works out. Quite a bad ice slide angle, and we barely make it. But yeah, this was actually... I hate pausing so much, but I also find it so fascinating to get to talk about these things. The reason this failed is I have third gear, shallow angle to ice slide, but then too shallow to keep the gear in fourth. So my car goes third, fourth, and now back to third in a bad angle. And it's just very slow. Like, can you imagine you're riding your bicycle, and then you sort of accidentally change to the most heavy gear in an uphill. And then it's too heavy, and you realize it, but at that point you've lost all your speed. So now when you go back to an easier gear, you've kind of just griefed yourself. That's what my car did. Anywho, ice to dirt gives an interesting interaction, which you'll see. Ice dirt flicks. But for now, some good old bobsleigh. Land early. Stay low with the red lines. Set up an ice slide, shallow because we're high speed. Jump and land an ice slide, and we make it to floor 10. Now, I started this day with 82 hours on the clock, so I've been playing for 6 hours already. And in those 6 hours, I have only gotten 2 runs past this floor. One of them made it to floor 16 at the start of the day. Then I was stressed out, and then I had a lot of floors die on this, a lot of runs die on this floor. Oi. Bro, I'm such a goose. It's actually unbelievable. So now I was very locked in on making this one work, because I know that if I don't get a run started soon, it's quite late in the evening, if I don't get a run started soon, Elconn is winning deep slip the next day. So it's time to focus up and drive this floor. Although I feel like it's quite an autopilot floor for me by now, it's time to drive it as good as I can. So the floor truly begins here with this feature. You have to plastic hug, wet icy tires, so you can steer as you go up. Third gear, and now the hook, like sharp brake tap, and then it straightens out by itself. And then you add a couple more to make the jump go to the pool. Now we go into this tiny bridge. And here, you have to be brave and go full speed, because if you look at the icy wet tires, the goal is by the end of the section to have enough icy tires remaining that you can do the ice dirt flick across to this pool. If you drive a bit slower there, then your tires are not going to be icy enough to do that trick. Here, first gear ice slide is the only way to pass. Again, taking advantage of RPM. And we make it down to the second half of floor 10. So here, pretty simple, but same concepts that we've used before. Ice slide and ice slide up the wall. And then set up the car for the climb. I think I have to go back here. I think this was a slow one. Yeah, I have to go back for speed. And then make it up. Then now precise ice slide between the flags. Pretty standard, pretty routine. Aiming and crashing against the wall. And now this feature. I've had, at this point, 2 runs that died here in this area. One where I missed the jump, one where I landed upside down. But finally I make it clean, and I don't drive off the edge here, anything, just... We officially have a run, is what I'm thinking. We officially have a run. Now you have icy wet tires, important that they're fully icy and wet. It's a bit difficult to drive the pipe here with all the different elevations, but you need it for icy wet tires plastic. So plastic already doesn't have a lot of grip. If you add 100% ice to the tires and water, you actually have no grip, which is the same as driving on ice. So here, down this slope, you need an ice slide on the surface, and it's a bit awkward. If you miss it, you also fly off the entire tower, which maybe we can get a clip of. But yeah, it's a do or die jump. You must make it. And now we make it to the feature that has the biggest cult in the deep slip world, the bowl. I don't know how it came about really, but this feature, guys, the bowl, is loved by the entire community. It's a safe space. If you want, you can sit and have lunch there. Nothing wrong can happen to your car. You can just relax, take, you know, a sip of coffee. Like, I'm about to continue past the bowl, but really, did I have to? I could just chill in the bowl for a while, you know? Some people also call it the womb, but we don't listen to those people. It is the bowl. Ice slide here, landed an ice slide to the left. One of the first spins we've seen in this way. And now the snow slide. Remember floor 1? Here I'm trying to overlap the skid marks as best as I can to keep enough speed to go past all the trees and onto the road. Ice slide up, get the booster, and we made it to floor 11. This floor took a long time for me, and it's kind of where I first started getting stuck a bit. Like, my first time on floor 9, I one-shot it, and floor 10, I got like halfway. And then floor 11 here, it took me, I think, a day to pass in total. The first part is not that bad, 180, and you jump straight and you will always make it. You're gonna be a bit fast, you slow down at the hill here, get to the bridge, but now you need to think about gears. You need 3rd gear before you start this ice slide to land a bit wide and then keep 3rd gear on the landing ideally, and then be sideways like I said for these climbs. Sideways is the best. And if you're just a slight bit off there, if you're 85 degrees angle instead of 90 as you go to the steepest part, you'll typically be too slow to make it to the water pool. This one is a fairly easy jump, and then you scale all the way up to the top of floor 11, and you do a really wild trick. So now at the top, you have to wait here and let the tires dry, so we're gonna skip this process. And then from here, you drop down, counterintuitive to do on a tower map, but you drop down, hit a tile of plastic, have the car get pushed back onto tires, and then you can drive and access the second half of the floor. So it's really strange. It's not so often that you do this on a tower map. You have to go down to go back up again, but here you do. And now you have ice to dirt. What I realized about this, and actually kind of knew before as well, is that for these flicks, the car needs to be slightly backwards. If the car was forwards facing, though the nose being more north, I guess here, then yeah, left. North and west. Let's use the same system, then it would slow me down heavily. But because it's backwards, it gives the speed flick back. So for both of these, I try to be slightly backwards. And then you can make it up here. Now we continue on into the bobsleigh. And then we reach the hardest trick of this floor. It's a bit inconspicuous looking, this next part. It's just a jump and a 1-block jump and a tile that you land on, followed by a 1-block drop. But here you have to spin, land, get a good ice slide that takes you down to this one, and keep enough speed to take you to this one. And it's sort of a bottleneck on this floor. Like, you can drive all the way up here, which, I mean, even without my falls, it's 30 minutes of driving. And then if you miss it, you could fall all the way down. Plastic hit here in the wall and drop down, and we make it to floor 12. And floor 12, I mean, now we actually have a run. I think, if I know my viewers correctly, a lot of them would just have this in the background, on their second monitor, on their TV, whatever, and just kind of do other things. But when you get here, it's like, okay, you know, it's kind of time to start paying some attention, because, like, we are high up now. And I am very happy. Curse lifted. Go time, I write, you know? Like, I am very happy about this. This floor to me is one of the coolest. It is visually very cool. You've got like some snake scenery. You've got like the face there on the wall. You've got this like snaking pipes all around. And you also have this very cute, maybe we see it. Yeah, here, the moving block that is like a snake with its tongue. It's very cute. So here you have to do a really cool trick. Low speed, so you can dirt flick to this one around the pillars. Land with speed to get to 3rd gear before this ice slide. And now try to jump as high as you can. You make it to this platform. You then set up the car for another trick. Here there's a different mechanic going on, where when you go from dirt to ice, your first input should be steering, in this case, to the right before you ice slide left. And that is because that gives you a small speed boost. So I steer to the right here, then I get a speed boost, and then I go left. It's hard to notice, but I don't know if you can do it without it. So there's just so many things you have to know, like all these different surface interactions, tire states. Here you have, you know, same as on floor 6, that you can flick on dirt walls, you can flick there. And now past some more cool snake scenery. And you make it to this water pool. And now you have another interaction. Wet tires on plastic equals bug slides. So here you have to bug slide up onto this road. Keep gear 2. And we get to a snow hill, so that is perfectly sideways, best as you can. Make it all the way up here. And then set up and do a long sequence now. So the booster point's left, but we're going straight into an ice slide down here. Make sure you get past the wall, land on this block. And then with a good line you can go direct here, but I did not trust it, so I'm gonna set up. Set up on the corner for speed. I'm a bit greedy for going for this because I knew it was low speed. I air brake and we don't get punished. A little bit greedy because you have all the time in the world there. Now this, right? So on floor 5, I said there's a booster on floor 12. This is that booster. If you try to cross this without wet tires, you have to do it fast. If you do it slow, you're just gonna get pushed off. Like the same line I did won't work. And so I found a skip instead. By going onto the pipe here and jumping across, I skipped that problem altogether. I'm very happy about this skip because it made me have no fears about this floor. Now we have an insane sequence. You have dirt to ice, you can steer right for the boost. Now you have the dirt flick from floor 11, and then you have another one, which is here. When you touch the ice, you can press right to get a huge speed boost ice slide. So it goes right, now left, backwards, left, and then right, and you get this huge boost. That took a little bit to fully understand. I've had some fails there, but otherwise mostly fine. And you get all the way up here. And this is a case where I try to intentionally go very slow because gear 1 is quite safe to climb in. And I'm also tapping the steering a lot. If you don't tap the steering in that case, you're gonna go pretty fast and you might gear up to second. You might also have high enough RPM to gear up to second. So quite an easy jump here. This one is not that scary. I don't know if I made it with quite a big clearance. And then the last jump of floor 12. So I want to end up a bit more on the right side, so I try to go sharper. I end up more on the right side, and now I can jump up to floor 13. Floor 13 is chess themed. It has some rooks and some pawns you can see. And it's sort of like checkerboard patterns, like white and black colors. And it's what's interesting about this floor is that it started becoming the new floor 0 in a way. Like, once you made it up here, floor 13, 14, and 15 typically had such good recoveries that you would never really drop below floor 13. So once you made it up here, it was like a soft checkpoint to attempt the top floors. So it felt like a milestone to reach 13. So it has some quite okay straight line jumps in the start. One of my favorite strategies is here, where it's a little bit hard to see where to line up this ice slide, but the sun just so happens to shine, and if you drive in the line where the sun shines, you kind of get the perfect ice slide setup. You aim for the sun, like, thank you so much Ra, the sun god, for blessing us with the perfect racing lines here. I started doing this, and I think other players are also just aiming for the sun there. It's a very fun strat to have. And you know, you get the same thing every time. The sun in this game doesn't move, thankfully. It's not like it moves across the sky. So you get the same thing. Now here, on floor 8, I mentioned the Mika strat. And I realized I could use it to climb this wall. So the next feature here is you drop down, now set up the car backwards facing, so that it flicks back into straight up, and then you can hold an ice slide to the left and climb. Now this one went too low. My mistake here is that I actually wasn't enough backwards as I climbed up. So the car didn't go straight enough early, and then I lost the speed. Take 2, drop down, more backwards this time, earlier ice slide, and we're higher up on the wall too. It drops the gear, but I'm able to climb back up and get to the next part, and I go direct. Wow. Yeah, I can't remember. Sometimes I stop there. This one I went direct into the next part. Fancy. And here, important to land flat, so you have the speed. If you land a bit tilted, it's not going to work. And then up into the water. Almost at floor 14. This part, I still don't know if we're doing the intended way on. My first time here, I attempted an ice slide, and there's a very tight ice slide that's possible. But we found out it's possible to just drive a lap in the water for speed and make the jump across to this block. And here I slow down on purpose so that I don't hit 4th gear before this jump. And now if you land with over 200 speed, you are clear to jump up to floor 14. But yeah, guys, you would think with a tower map like this that the amount of time I spent on each floor is going to be incrementally more and more on the bottom floors, or yeah, the other way around, like it's going to be less and less on the top floors. But if you actually look at the stats, also really hard spin jump here and backwards angle on the grass. If you look at the stats, I spent, here's the height distribution for how much time I spent on each floor. I spent more time on like this area of the map than the very bottom. So like I'm trying to say, like, this area of deep slip was just so forgiving. So you would do laps after laps. Now we're coming up to a part that no player really has gotten that good at yet. This is the bumper. You're supposed to land and an ice slide to the left there and make it over to where you see the lanterns. There's some platform over here. I tried that jump and it is really hard. I've made it a couple of times only. But I also discovered that if you take max speed here, it's possible to jump to a different platform. That platform is at the very end of the floor. but you're not able to access the end of the floor from there. Like, you can't go from here now and then up into the last part and get to the end of the floor. However, it's possible to go from here and jump back under the ramp to this platform. And this is where, if you did the bumper jump and everything directly, this is where you would end up. So this is a slower route, but a far easier way to make progress on the floor. And this is what we call the shrimp skip. This looks like a shrimp, no? Wait, did I accidentally draw a perfect shrimp? Wow. Yeah, I am an artist. Look at that. Yo, that's pretty good. And the shrimp skip made this so consistent. Like, you could just do laps after laps of floor 14. Without this, I think the map would have taken much longer because that bumper jump is really punishing. Punishing to do. So yeah. Stop on the block here. Turn around, and then we're entering the last part of floor 14. Again, there was a strat I found here, and I turned off my input on the last day, and I was kind of hoping that no one else would find this out, because if they did, it would make everyone more consistent at reaching the top floors. People were really struggling with, in this last turn, to time the ice slide. Like, you're going up, and you have to upside down ice slide here, and if you look, like, you really cannot see anything with where your car is going. I failed it myself, because, yeah, you can't see anything. But next lap, I think I get it. I think I get it now, and let's see if I do what I'm gonna talk about. Yes, you can't really see anything, but you can sort of get a visual for how the car is angled after playing Trackmania. Like, I know it's pretty much sideways here. Here, I release just one tap. If you hold full speed right, which is what everyone else is doing that I saw, the car will typically over-angle as it goes down, but one release tap keeps it sideways. And maybe if I'm silent, you can hear it. Did you hear that doot doot in the middle of the last part? One release, guys. I found that out. I don't know if anyone else caught on to it. I didn't speak about it. I kept it quiet, although I explained most of my strats. It made me very consistent. That one release. Like, I was trying to be, you know, very upfront about all my strats and all my lineups and stuff, and you know, sort of problem solving in the content I made as well, and not just like saving everything for a recap like this. But I also kept something secret. Here I had a really good lineup. I think a lot of people thought my lineup is the shadow for when to steer to the right now, floor 15, but it's actually the start of this block. Like, the flat block connects with the curved block, and I steer to the right. And then you typically make it up. This one was a bit nerve-wracking, but it's all good. Honk the horn, all good, and we're at 72%. And now, sketchy floor, guys. Floor 15 has very little room for error because you're driving on all these disconnected platforms. And they're also tilted, so you have to balance the car in all kinds of ways. First part is typically fine, but now you'll see, like, the car gets very destabilized very quickly. It's like shaking from side to side. My back wheel almost goes off the edge. I have very low speed. I have to jump low to this one and then get up to this one on the road, and it's all good. Make sure I have 100% wet tires. Again, I don't know if it matters, but my assumption is that water wheels makes the landing more stable. Here, you turn around backwards, pass backwards through the boosters, and stop the car on the dirt to dry the tires. And then another input, I'm again not sure if people caught on to this, but having climbed so much walls in the bottom floors, I intentionally go very slow here. So if you look at this, you shift to 4th gear at 235 speed. I'm at 209 here, and entering the wall I would be at like 220. If you don't do a little slowdown here, there's a high chance that when you start climbing, you shift to 4th, and you lose a bunch of speed, like the uphill biking gear up example, right? So I intentionally stay slow to get sort of a mid to high 3rd gear, rather than a very high 3rd gear. Not worth the risk. Slow down a bit, and now I can climb this with ease in 2nd gear. Again, just details for consistency. But this is what's going through my head. I hope I'm not just yapping your head off right now and that it's actually fascinating to hear all the thought processes. But yeah, this is what goes into it, you know? And I mean, I've been playing probably close to an hour of this run, and all of this is just things you have to do to attempt the ending. Here I'm looking for anything between 310 and like 320 speed. If it's more, I can slow down, but if it's less, I can't do anything, so... When the speed stabilizes, I want to see 310 or more. And what we're gonna do is plastic bounce. But yeah, the clip of my finish was posted on Twitter, guys, and a lot of people in the comments were like, bro, this looks so easy. Why is bro crying? Spoiler, cried at the finish line. Why is bro crying? It's just a game, he just beat a map. But like, think about every single obstacle we've had to learn so far, and how precise you have to be to execute them all in a row without mistake, right? Like, it's truly very punishing. And so, driving this is a big mental test as well as like actual skill test, of course. And now with the added pressure of thousands of people watching, thousands of people having expectations for you, the guy you're competing with catching up the last day and finding a shortcut that, you know, is gonna revolutionize the map and make it beatable within 1 day instead of like 3 days, and suddenly everything's up in the air. He was just there, a couple of jumps away. I'm doing like my last Hail Mary attempt to snipe it away, and that is going through my mind. Like, I am stressed out here, but I'm trying to listen to calming music. I'm trying to not create a big deal out of it in my head and just do each jump that's in front of me. This one I figured out after many failed attempts landing upside down. You have to go slow, and you have to angle a lot to the left. A lot to the left and one right tap. If you don't, then the nose of the car, instead of pitching... Actually have a physical car to show it with. The nose of the car, instead of pitching like this, pitches like that, and then you land dead turtle. And it took me a lot of attempts. I don't know why it works like that, guys, but it does, so... I am very happy to have figured that out. Because I had a day where I spent the entire day climbing up to this jump, doing everything I've just shown you, landing upside down and going again. Now you have a bumper onto the bridge. One small release tap makes that one a lot more doable. Then drop down into another one of these safe water pools, and we get to the last part of 15. Just slowly driving down the snow. Now chat is getting increasingly more hype. It's actually very fun to see. Very cool to see how hyped the chat is getting now, because they know, like, okay, Elconn just got that close, but we're climbing. Very slow third gear here. I listen for the RPM. I know it wants to hook, but it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna pull me down there. We set up the car. And again, guys, I found out something really crucial for this, which doesn't make sense to me completely, but maybe it does. It is faster, and you get a better jump by releasing at the top here. So rather than accelerating the car at the steepest part, maybe it's because you want to steer right at the same time, and therefore you're sort of like you're accelerating the car against the way it's moving. The car is trying to move to the left and you're steering upright. I think that's actually why. But I found out it's faster to release at the top, and that made this jump so consistent. So just release and steer to the right, rather than accelerate. Small detail, but it made floor 16 completely accessible every time. Like basically every time I could get here. And now we're on floor 16, 76%. The hype is coming through, 89 hours. There are other players driving at the same time. I turned off like all the info. I completely turned off the chat. I turned off my alerts. I didn't see anything of what was happening. I just had to create like a bubble for myself to drive in. And yeah, we hit 1 hour into the run, so... Like, this recap video is turning out to be incredibly long. Shoutouts if you're still watching this and seeing the entire run and not just skipping to the final jump. I appreciate that. I will at some point have to make like a very long video, I think, about this entire event and how we progressed in detail, but for now we're just looking back at the run itself. So floor 16. I mentioned at the very start of this recap. Floor 0, there's a jump at the very start, 40 seconds in or so, and it reminds me of this one. Floor 7 also reminds me of this one, where gear 2, you're trying to face backwards, and you cannot shift up to 3rd, although 179 speed. And with that knowledge, you make it every time. You can make it every time. Now here, important to get max speed out of this area, go between the pillars. I set up the ice slide too late, so I have to go back. It's a tricky ice slide to do, because you're already kind of scared of hitting a pillar and crashing off the map. So I'm thinking a lot about getting through, doing a left tap, early right steer, brake to stabilize the ice slide, and then jumping up. That was essentially perfect. And here, slow drop down. The one thing I figured out here, guys, is that for this plastic bounce, looks wicked, looks press forward. For this plastic bounce, it's important to have the car angled ever so slightly to the left, because then the front left tire crashes, and then the rest of the car crashes after, and that's what causes the spin. But you can imagine if the car is just a little more front-facing, like if the car is a little more just like this, I don't know if this makes any sense, it would just not spin at all, I think. So, yeah, you need a double touch. And then slow down to 3rd and climb up into the pool here. Yeah, I think there's some examples you can show with the car, but not all. But that one detail I think is very important. So we have wet tires on plastic, and it looks like the road just ends in front of us, and it actually does. We have to drop off the side at the last moment, turn upside down, and bounce on the plastic to land in the water. Here, there's a skip that you almost could do. If you see the spinning wheel that is over here, the next platform is there, and you could just jump to it from this pool, I believe. But you would only have wet tires, and not wet icy. Wet tires can bug slide, but it can't ice slide. And for the next part, you actually need wet plastic ice slides. You need plastic ice slides. So we have to pick up the ice tile, get 100% icy tires, and drop down this way. And then do first an ice slide here. These are always gear 1. It's actually really close to the edge. And now you have icy wet tires, and you can ice slide both directions while hugging the wall. The thing I realized about this, I got scammed here many times. Perhaps we can show a clip. I got scammed here many times. What I realized is you just can't steer as you start going up. So I let go of everything. I'm steering now, and then I let go of everything, and then I steer on the way down again. And that way I maximized a lot of my attempts, because I didn't just have them die to something random. Now here, oh my god, did I study this a lot and think about this a lot. Like, the successful clips, I study them, what makes them work and what makes them fail. You need to stay in second gear, but the way you do it is very important. Like when you brake tap, because you're brake tapping to make the car go up. But if you brake tap too much, you lose the second gear and you fall. I don't know if this one succeeds or fails, but we can see. Just trying to stay a little bit backwards. That's too much backwards. Yeah, I failed this one. And so you get to this pool, and now you have to do like a 2-minute recovery and go back to the catapult. And then steer again. So I wait till it straightens out quite a lot for speed, and then I just try to add small brake taps. And my lord, we barely make it up. Very happy about that, because this is a huge bottleneck on floor 16. Like, the players that are still trying to finish are gonna feel how difficult that is. You drop down here, you need 202 or so speed. I get 203, so we make it. One left up at the end to get to this one. And here I experimented with both second and third gear. But it is my opinion now that third gear is better, and oh my god, I am skill issued. Yeah, I at first wanted to go direct, but I was unsuccessful. And you can see what happens. You make one mistake, right? And now you've lost. This was only 2 floors, but it could be a lot worse. Genuinely unlucky. Was it unlucky? Let's get admin. Yeah, I mean, no, I think I shouldn't have committed it to begin with. You only should commit here if you land with third gear. If you land with second in such a high second gear, that if I go full speed up now, it would slide out. So that's why I backed out, but I couldn't back up. So yeah, I just screwed up. Let's skip ahead. So I'm almost back there, guys. It's like 20 minutes later into the run and this happens. Aware. Welcome to the deep slip experience. This one went all the way to floor 12. Oh my god, but you cannot lose. You cannot lose hope on this map, guys. Even if you fall like that, you cannot lose hope. You just have to get back on the horse, get back on the climb, and just sort of realize the fact that you are actually quite high up into the tower. Like, you've landed at a point that's like 40 minutes into the climb, so you shouldn't despair, you shouldn't give up, right? I go back for speed. This is my second attempt at this jump. I go back for speed. I get third gear. And I make it. And I make it across. Very happy. Now this is the last two jumps of floor 16. Just looking at this, reminding myself, we're aiming for the lightsaber there on the left, the white one. A little bit to the right of it, and you want to be wide before the hole. So there you go. Barely making it. And now here, a lot of confusion at first, but the way I've been doing it is driving up the booster, looking in the reverse camera, dropping back down the booster, and then hoping to hold second gear here and have a sharp ice slide so that it doesn't shift to third. But look what happens. I focus so much on the gear that we fall again, down to 15. Like, this is the run that is my greatest Trackmania success, and it has so many failures. Like, there's a speech by Roger Federer where he was talking about how he's won 80% of his career games in tennis, but in those games he only won 54% of the points that he played. Like, even winning championships and success will have a lot of failures, right? Like, my success rate on these jumps is not necessarily that high, but it's high enough to make progress. And also my failure, like my success rate in some are 100%, and that's why I'm back here only like 5 to 10 minutes later. And we go again. Second gear, sharp, backwards, still angled, up, nice. Honk for happiness. Floor 17. A genuine opportunity at sniping away the win. Elconn right now, fast asleep. I'm coping hard into midnight hours at this point. On floor 17, you drive up in third gear. You then have to time an ice slide up onto this tile up here. Go as high as you can. You need 210 or so speed at least to make it. I have 217. And now two possible routes here. You can either, if you look at the sign, go across the quarter pipe, spin, and then do an ice slide up to this bridge that you see here. So you ice slide, and ice slide up, and there's a water pool up there. This is the route that Elconn does. I, however, every time that I've driven this floor have dropped down into the pool, and I've gotten quite good, I feel, at this route down here. So I land in the water, and this one has a daunting feature now, where you have to climb on this wall, build up a lot of speed, and then you have a plastic bounce into a pool. Second time ever getting this far into the track now. Second time ever. So I'm almost at my new peak. I ice slide up, try to hit the back of the car against the plastic, steer left so I get to the pool, and this matches where my PB failed. This matches where my PB failed. Now here I need to do a little bit of testing. I went to the bathroom, I got a drink. So when I get back now, I'm doing some angle testing. And the one thing that, like, so far the entire map has been known, right? But now we're starting to get into the unknown territory. So one thing that my attempt here failed is that I didn't get a grip on the block. The first block here, I didn't get grip. I went for maximum speed, and I did not get grip on the downhill block. And thus I started my ice slide a bit late. So I'm trying now with lower speed setups to get grip, and I can go backwards across the block and try again. And this is the thing, right? Like, this is the only way to practice. If you have the time, you have to use it when you're finally up here to see. I get airtime there, and so that's not what I'm doing. But I'm visualizing the line. I want to end up sort of at the peak of this jump. That gives me the most time to do the spin that you have to do at this jump. The goal is to build up a lot of speed, jump high, and then spin and land and jump again with another ice slide. And so what I've realized from all this testing now is that I need to go with about 130 speed on this drop down, 140 I get. I ice slide, I hold brake to spin, I land another ice slide, but it doesn't grip. And I'm confused. Look, I had the ice slide angle and everything. No grip. And I just slide up. I dropped from third to second gear. Confusing. I watched back both attempts, and I have a grand revelation. I've never thought about this before. But what I thought about now, I think is so genius, conceptually, on ice, to help me understand spins better. So gear shift at RPM, right? I've been talking about that. They don't shift at speed, they shift at RPM. And if you have very high RPM and you drop a gear, yeah, you're not gonna have grip for like a solid second. But one thing that is true for ice, and especially also ice and wet tires, is that you don't really have air control. You can't slow down the car mid-air. But I believe, maybe I'm wrong about this, but even if you can't slow down the car in the air, if you release, you actually lower the car's RPM mid-air. So what I did now is I jumped, I released mid-air, and do you see that the speedometer, even though it's only slightly, drops a little bit before I land? I think that is what let me keep grip here, because I wasn't maxed out on RPM. So think about this. Although you cannot slow down the car, you can slow down the RPM of the car by just not holding accelerate. I thought it was genius, and I have to test it more, but that is what is going through my head here. Yeah, so here I've watched the clip of Elconn do it. It's time to do it myself. First time now, never gotten this far on the map. Everything is fresh. And we go into the boosters, ice slide, hit the plastic, go low to the left, get into the wall, and now from fourth gear we have to drop down to at least third, maybe second gear, drop both, climb back up, and we've made it to floor 18, guys. Last floor of Deep Slip begins on this water tile. And because of the skip, reaching this is not, oh my god, necessarily that big of a challenge anymore. My heart is pounding so bad. My heart is pounding so bad. We made it to the last floor. Oh my god. Oh my god, guys. Oh my god. Right. So, at this point, guys, holy shit, we're gonna have me turn on my face cam at the time. It would be a crime not to have this on video, but I'm not gonna mess with my lights or anything. But yeah, so this is late. This is past midnight. I'm 8 hours into my grind, and I look a little bit more tired than I look right now. This is life when you're not playing Deep Slip. And that right there is life when you're playing Deep Slip. I am happy. I was so close at the end. I'm very tired. So now we watch what Elconn did for his shortcut. If you haven't seen this, I'll have it loud. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much is your heart pounding? Bro, I was, I felt my hands actually trembling. Like on that, yeah, here. That one bounce skips the entire floor. It's so silly. And the clip of Burlypog, the mapper, seeing this is very heartbreaking. He had prepared a lot of cool tricks on the last floor, and Elconn just skipped everything. So, yeah, this is what I know how to do. But because there's water everywhere, this is perfectly safe. So what I end up doing is trying to copy the line and try to mimic it. And I spend the next half an hour trying to replicate the jump that Elconn got in 4 attempts. And eventually, I might die to the next jump, that's okay. I get this jump. This one, because it's safe. Early second gear, ice slide. Boom. Yo. Okay. Lock in. And my nerves here kick into overdrive because I'm realizing I now have a genuine shot at sniping the win that felt so impossible just a couple hours earlier, right? I have a genuine shot at this. And that was a better jump actually. So now I analyze what Elconn did and we go for the next part. And after a little bit of contemplation, we go for it. The next part, you go high on the ice here and you try to get a dirt flick up to the left into the pool. Yeah, and I make it. Yeah, no, Elconn, what the... Oh my god. And I'm a little perplexed at how Elconn drove this. He drove it differently from me. But I found a way that works for me. And now the next part. So yeah, really stressed, really nervous. I'm trying to figure out the best trajectory. I think I have a good line. I go for it. I go for it again. No. Stop the car, bro! Why is it not stopping until here? That is so unbelievable. But the car never stopped. And we're back to 16. And I've just gone from thinking that I had the win in my hands to now seeing it slip away. I'm now thinking I'm gonna be so tilted from that, I'm not gonna be able to stabilize. I'm gonna lose, and Elconn is gonna beat the map the next day. And it's gonna be a repeat of Deep Dip 1 where the exact same thing happened, where I was ahead, I was on like one of the last jumps, I failed, and Brand did it the next day, you know? Like I was seeing history repeat itself here. But I also had played phenomenally. I'd played some of my best Trackmania. So even after this mistake, I just tried my best to let go of the despair and made my mind up. Okay. It can't end like this. Again. Mike, I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry. Lock in. Still a good run, but yeah, I'm sorry. It can't end like this. I felt like I let everyone down. I muted up and I focused up again and started driving. Now I think after a fall is when you're most likely to fall again. But from here, I actually played extremely well. Like all these tricks you've seen before, the catapult and the climb after, worked well. I kind of just made very hasty progress back to floor 17 again. So make to this platform and then gathering speed and jumping up. And we're back to 17. And this is only like 5 minutes later. And okay, floor 17 in my mind feels so much closer to the finish than floor 18. Like I can see the booster up there. That takes us to 18 again. And we really haven't lost that much, right? I'm trying to keep a positive mindset. But here, my mind is about to spiral into pure chaos because, well, you'll see. You'll see. We do the turnaround, it's enough speed. I'm not scared about that. And here, the ice slide does not set me up for the Elconn one anyway, so I go with my route, the one that I was using. But in the ice slide on the wall, I'm going too much up, and I can't really stop it. I try to release, but we're bouncing on the plastic. And we're not bouncing up. We are bouncing down, ladies and gentlemen. We are bouncing back down to floor 16 again. And mentally, this was really difficult because, like, yes, I'm still on floor 16. I'm still very far into the run. But I just feel so bad at the game. I feel like it's all falling apart. Like, what's the chances I do all that again? At the same time, I haven't lost yet. So I climb back up again. I do all the same tricks, the catapult. I do the last jump down to the lightsaber. Do everything again, and I get back to floor 17. A couple minutes later only. And I go for my own route again. I've failed it now, but I'm thinking, this is my best bet. I know how this one works, I just have to execute. But now I have some pressure on this jump. I can't fail this twice. I got very lucky to land on floor 16 last time. I try to go lower, and I go very low, but it's too low. I miss the plastic, and I bounce at a slight off angle. And we go back to 16, thankfully. 2 in a row. Now I'm feeling quite confident though, because I know I can do it again. So we climb back. I do all the tricks one shot. The catapult, the climb, the lightsaber. Everything one shot, once more. Staying focused. 9 hours 50 into the session. Almost 10 hours since I started stream. And once again, I have made up my mind that I am using my own route. I'm not going to try the high route that Elconn uses. So now it has to work. 1 time too high, 1 time too low. I go into the wall, it looks good, but suddenly it goes too high. I try to release to get away from it, and I fail in a different way. I want to type something, but let's just see where it falls. We bounce off of 16, passes floor 15. Is about to pass floor 14, but we by some miracle land here. I literally know. And I'm tilted. I'm so tilted. Chow was being very supportive here, and I roast them. Every single chatter is going to say, oh, go for the Elconn route, go for the Elconn route. Why are you not going for the Elconn route? Go for Elconn route, go for Elconn route. I swear it's harder. Like, I'm losing sanity. I'm hearing voices in my head. I can't see the chat, but I'm just, you know, I'm spiraling. I'm thinking everyone is looking at me like a fool for failing on floor 18, and everyone is looking at me for a fool for driving the wrong route on 17. And now we have so many floors left. I'm just failing, guys. Like, please. I already know. It's so annoying. I can. And here, the recovery is that I have to drop back down to 13, which I barely survived. This was... could have just ended the run, and if I land upside down there, I think Elconn wins. Deep slip, but I land on my wheels and we can continue. And from there, I did the exact same climb all the way back to floor 17 again. Now, if you've failed something 3 times in a row, do you change plan? Do you go for the same one? Like, what do you do? I have to trust my gut. I have to trust my gut, right? I have to trust that the one that I'm using, the one that I've had 5 attempts at, compared to the one I've never tried, has to be easier. It's just that I've failed it. But I can't afford to miss it anymore. This has to work. Setup looks good. Flat angle. Some brake taps. Not too high. Brake tap last second. And we make it. Build up speed. I slide up the hill. Bounce across. Now from here, I quickly make it back up to the ending of floor 17. And at the ending of floor 17, although insanely difficult as a jump, I managed to get an early ice slide, sharp up after second gear, and barely make it before the corner. If I didn't, I wouldn't have gotten up. But we're back on 18. And I am very happy about this. I thought I wasn't going to get another chance, but I got another chance. So here I am again. And we have to do the shortcut, which I do within a couple of minutes. Now everything I'm thinking about here is just not failing the drop down ice slide. I have to commit for it, but I also can't afford to fail it. I go for it, it slides out, and it doesn't make the jump. Okay, so I'm not allowed to do that. And I realized one thing that I can't do, which is release actually on the drop down. I try to go back up now. And I miss my flick, it's too late. I can't see my car and my car falls down. No. And again, I'm left with this sinking feeling. Like you can see my face, it's pure pain because I'm left with this feeling of disappointing everyone, letting everyone down. From this point, guys, I spend about 10-15 minutes theory crafting, I think, just to come up with a solution. And what I found out is that there is potentially a path back where you would jump normal way, drop on this block, and from this block, jump to the water pool behind. So this requires a precise snow slide. I saw where to aim past one of the buildings, and then I just have to hope that I can make it to the block and stop. The first part looks good, the jump, good. I see the red, I aim for the red, I try to stop, and we're on the block. Okay. That worked. Now here there's no backing out. I have to commit for my plan. We're going for it. Try to get max speed. It's a really far looking jump to the pool. That looks good, we're going. And I've made it back. I shouldn't have made the mistake in the first place. I thought I threw away it, but I get one more chance at floor 18 because of this. We're back at the start of the floor. We can do the cut and get back. Oh, yes, bro. Oh my god. Okay. Holy shit. And I said I wasn't going to show many of the falls, but this one, I am incredibly proud of staying composed for and not losing the run, because it's a very hard recovery to make. Now we are attempting the shortcut again. I've gotten faster at the setup. Very precise second gear ice slide. And make it back up. I don't want to dwell on it. But having failed here twice now, it's not helping my nerves. Flick up into the water. Between the bump and the light. I've seen a shadow spot that I'm aiming for. And I make it. But I am deeply uncomfortable, guys. Like, if you look at my face when I'm going for this ice slide, I am so deeply uncomfortable by this run for the fact that this is my chance. And if I waste this chance, I don't get another one. But we make it to the water. Here, you have a mud slide where water and dirt mixed means that you can brake tap to gain speed. You need to gain third gear here. Yeah, okay. And then do another couple of brake taps. And then make the jump. I did one test attempt and then I went. I get the gear up, I get the speed. That looks good. Send it across the wet wood. Jump up. And we are now basically at the second last jump. The second last hard jump. This is where Elconn failed. This is where Elconn failed. And like I said, this is where Elconn failed after his shortcut, because he did a spin here on this next jump. But the goal of this jump seems to be to get far to the right, and therefore you cannot land this high up. You need to use the space. So I really disagreed with his setup and the way he got speed from this. And I think Elconn, with his playstyle, kind of just rushed it and realized mid-jump that that's what he had to do too. So after a lot of hesitation, honestly, on how to do it, I finally committed for this plan. Less speed than Elconn, second gear, ice slide, try to get low on this block. I get too low, so I have to ice slide immediately. I still make it. And I barely make it to the other side. One hard jump left. And a rail. I'm so tired of these rails though. Like the one on floor 18 scamming. Floor 16. Please, bro. The rail works. Okay. And now the last jump. A 180 with the dirt, followed by a dirt flick into an ice slide, into a ice spin, into another ice slide. I spent a couple of minutes theory crafting. And then it's time to all in, guys. It's time to all in. Here we go. It looks good. I commit. I add the brake tap. I spin. I land. I ice slide. Please! Please! Yes! Oh. Okay. And now my nerves are kicking into high gear because I am realizing at this point that I am on the brink of beating this map. There's not that much hard stuff left. I'm gonna turn off my cam so you guys can feel the stress with me in this moment. It's an unknown. Okay. The trick works, press forward. Okay, now this one. One thing at a time. Now I have to ice slide up the wall of the bobsleigh and land on the pool. But you gotta be very careful not to over jump the pool. I am so stressed. Slow. Slow and high. Floor 10 bobsleigh, but no, without a slow floor 10 bobsleigh without a even do it gear 1 probably. Now look at the lineup. It looks good. I try to do it slowly so I can stop in the water. We're on the roof. Okay. I'm about to drive here. I need to just... But I literally feel my heart sort of just trying to escape through my nose. I am so stressed. The implications are crazy. It's left on every path. I've done all the difficult stuff. And it's just this left. Are all the same placement. And it's... Compared to what we've done, piece of cake. But it's a several minute long skill check. Where if you miss one step, you lose everything. So much time. There's boosters on each of them that you can't touch. Stay above the red marks, you're fine. Uphills and downhills, and the car is never going to be able to stand still. The red marks you can't lose. And after scouting this out, guys, I commit for my final push on the tower, and I'm going to stop the post commentary here and just let you experience this moment. And raw. Maybe for the last one, carry extra speed. Okay, guys, we're going for this. Job. Should be easier. Your time. Please. Job. Please work. Without any tricks. Come on. Please. Oh, okay. Guys. We did it! We did it! We beat Deep Slip first in the world! Oh my god. Let's go. My hair, I can't move my hands. My hair. I don't know if the replay's even gonna save, guys. I have no idea. Oh my god. Oh. I don't know what's happening. I don't know anything was happening. Oh my god, I was so nervous on the roof. I've never been more nervous, man. I've never been more nervous. But I found a very nice rhythm, and then... So glad the reactor thing worked, bro. Oh my god. I don't want to touch anything. I just want it to save. I don't want to touch anything. It's a big replay file. It might take like a moment. I don't even have chat open. I don't know what you guys are saying or doing, but thank you all for being here and for watching. You were here, chat. Oh my god, you were here.